Welcome back, you Washington football maniacs. Again, is your host, Brandon Scott and Greg Sykes. Today, we're going to do a quick and to the point preview for Sunday's game against the Miami Dolphins. Now, looking at that matchup, as we currently stand, the Miami Dolphins are 8-3, and the Washington Commanders are 4-8. And looking at the odds right now, the Miami Dolphins are they're 9.5 point favorites. So, I mean, it kind of tells you, how Vegas views the Commanders matchup against Miami. But before we get into that, if you are not a member of Washington Football Maniacs, definitely consider it, man. I'm trying to tell you, we are a very fast-growing channel, man. Putting a lot of good content out there, man, and it's going to get better as time goes. So definitely consider membership with the Washington Football Maniacs. And wherever you get your podcast, 5-star review is much appreciated. And on the YouTube side, man, definitely like, subscribe, and comment, and let us know how we're doing and what do you guys think about what we're talking about tonight. And tonight, again, we're going to do a preview of the Miami Dolphins trip to FedEx on Sunday. We're going to kind of preview everything from what we would do if we were coaching the Washington Commanders versus the Miami Dolphins. And then we're going to answer a few more questions at the end. So let's kind of dig into it, Greg. Before we roll, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing about as good as I can. I'm trying not to cough during a podcast, and I think that's always a win. Unlike what the Commanders have had in several weeks. So there you go, man. I mean, win, lose, or draw, Christmas is coming, so you got to be happy over that, right?
Yeah, I mean, my wallet's not happy. But,
no, neither is mine. And it's not going to be happy in January either.
Oh, Lord, I tell you, man. Yeah, I definitely feel you on that, man. So we're going to slide into it. Like I said, 1 o'clock on Sunday, the Dolphins come to FedEx. Now, looking at the Miami Dolphins, Greg, offensively, defensively, very well balanced. On the offensive side of the ball, they are first in passing yards. They are second in rushing yards in the NFL. Looking at the defense, they are 11th in passing yards allowed and 6th in rushing yards allowed. So, again, they stopped the run. They relatively stopped the pass. I think that the passing, 11th, they're almost top 10 in pass defense. And their offense is so well balanced between, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua, and his ability to pass and run. And then even the running backs. I mean, Arcane, Mercerts, they have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball. So the question for tonight is, this is a very highly favored game for Miami. If you're the coach, how are you attacking Miami? How do you give this team a chance to win?
Well, I think, of course I would say go against your tendencies and, whatever they're expecting, do the opposites. But, the thing is, with Miami being so well defending both the pass and the run, it's like, what else is there left? One thing you can do is you can speed up the game, and you can kind of be in almost a 2-minute offense. No huddle, get up to the line, just don't allow their defense to rotate guys in and out. Force them to keep in their base defense throughout. And hopefully while you're doing that, you're continuing to move the ball up and down the field. If you can do that, you can wear that defense down, and that's something that you want to be able to do. And I think if you're able to do that, you might have a chance. Now, on the defensive side of the football for Washington, certainly what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to start playing some more zone. You can't just stay in man coverage all game long. You got to give your corners some help. You got to, change it up. You got to disguise your coverages a lot better than what they have been doing. You got to play a little bit more zone. You're probably going to have to blitz a whole lot more to really put pressure on Tua, and and keep doing it. Live and die by it, because at this point, what do you have to lose, right? You're going to have to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at them. So I think you stay aggressive on defense. You play some zone. At least you mix in some zone with your man. It sounds like Ron Rivera, what he is planning to do is kind of simplify the coverage a little bit more in the secondary, a little bit more than what Jack Del Rio had, which is a smart move. I think that's what needed to be done. Let's see how effective that's going to be. And again, on offense, if I'm Eric Bieniemy, I'm saying, you know what, this is a stout defense. So how do you counter a stout defense? You wear them down. Um, you don't allow them to rotate guys in and out. You play in basically your 10-minute offense the whole time you're on there. You just hope that you can actually move the football. That's going to be key. You got to, you can't just be three and out and no huddle. You've got to be able to move the football. So, but those are things that I would try to do in order to get some, establish a little bit of flow. I think on the offense, but certainly to give some confidence going early for Sam Howell. And hopefully, in the second half, as you start to wear that defense down, then you can start attacking them with the run. I don't care how good a defense is; once they're wore down, you can start attacking them. And that's what they're going to have to do, I think, if they're going to have any chance of winning this game.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I agree with everything you said. Looking from the offensive side of the ball, look, they like I said, they're a well balanced defense, but they do this for a living. So you best believe they scout. And if you look at the numbers for our offense, man, we are. I mean, in all intents and purposes, yeah, they're number one, but we are number 9. So we're not too shabby. We're top 10 in passing, but 25th in rushing. So what's that say? They know that we've struggled in rushing, but that doesn't mean that we don't run the ball. I definitely, depending on the situation, clock management. I think with games like this, because think about it. Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Buccaneers came into FedEx. Nobody thought we had a chance. What did we do in the fourth quarter? We clock managed. We ran the ball. We could in that fourth quarter. I believe they didn't touch the ball one time. So when you attack teams like this, man, clock management and turnover-free football is important.
That's
You
key. Yes,
absolutely.
that's
We've
key.
got to work on turnovers, man. Interceptions. Sam Howell throw the ball away. Check down. You don't feel compelled to play hero ball or throw the ball in tight windows. Nah, I like to see Sam Howell a lot more conservative because I mean, look, he leads the NFL in passing yards, man. So I mean, this is not a guy who is shy to throw the ball. But here's the thing: I want to, with him being our franchise quarterback. Now I understand the 3/4 of the franchise do agree with that notion, and there's still people out there that are still holding out hope for Caleb Williams. I'm not one of those people. I think that Sam Howell is definitely the guy, but he needs to be a lot more conservative. He needs to, definitely show more savviness as far as playing quarterback. But offensively, man, turnovers. We have to keep them down to a minimum. Play calling with EB. I think this is a game where EB has to look. You covered it in the last video, and time and time again, it's been covered about how the players aren't really receptive to Eric Bieniemy, whether it's his coaching style or they really didn't give their badge of approval to him with a potential move to head coach. I think this is a game where he can kind of show what he can do. Be more crafty with your play calling. I mean, utilize Curtis Samuel, especially in screens, especially in sweeps. Really get Antonio Gibson involved in the offense. Really utilize the personnel you have. And I feel like we've said that before, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again. Utilize the personnel you have in offense because there's a lot of weapons. The offensive line, we know the offensive line. So, hopefully they solidify as a unit and they give him enough time to get the ball out because, again, they're going to put pressure on him. Miami's going to put a lot of pressure on him. From the defensive side, you got to get pressure on Tua. As I said, they're up there with turnovers. This is the team who turn over the ball a lot. I'm going to blitz. I'm going to put as much pressure as I can put on Tua and force him to get the ball out, force him to make decisions quicker, which leads to turnovers. I'm definitely going to put a lot of pressure on him because now Ron Rivera is the man calling defense. So, the excuses are gone. You cannot blame Del Rio after this game. The play calling is done by Ron Rivera. So, to me, if you want a chance to beat Miami, you had to put pressure on Tua because he's got weapons that are ridiculous, man. I mean, Tyreek Hill is the fastest guy in the league. I watched him when he played at the time it was a Washington football team, but I watched him when he was with Kansas City when it came to FedEx in 2021. And this guy can fly. I mean, I ain't trying to be Dr. Seuss here, but he can downright fly down the field, man. So that's another thing I'm looking at. Kendall Fuller needs to be the guy covering Tyreek Hill. Now, I'm not saying that by any means is he going to shut him down, but I think that St. Juice I think has no business lining up opposite of Tyreek Hill. I think that him and Forbes need to collectively try to slow down Jalen Waddle, because that's the thing. Really, we're talking about Tyreek Hill. You still got to deal with Jalen Waddle. I mean, you still got to deal with him, who arguably is another top 10, top 15 receiver in the NFL. So I think that you got to be collective in how you cover these guys, because, like I said, Fool is not going to shut them down. Tyreek Hill, that is. Maybe you dime packages, nickel packages, put more guys out there as far as down DBs, man. But on the defensive and the offensive side, they have to be a lot more crafty. This is where coaching comes in. They've got a game plan. They've got to, you cannot just take this approach like every team's the same and have the same approach. No, you're going against a juggernaut on the offensive side, man, and you're at home. Not that we don't, tend to get blown out at home, because that seems to be the MO this year, man. But here's the thing, though. We talk a lot about culture, and as you know, and a lot of people that watch and listen to us know, I cover the Washington Wizards, which are in the middle of a rebuild right now. And the biggest thing I talk about all of daggone time is culture, creating an atmosphere of culture, which has been often, attributed to Ron Rivera. But what is culture in DC, especially on the football side? Which is developing a culture where you play to win, not just throwing the white flag. We understand where this team is at right now. This team is not very good. They're 4-8. 5 games left. We're looking at the draft. But how you end the season, to me, is key. They got to finish strong. Put the effort out there. Play hard. Because you play hard against Miami, who knows? I'm not trying to say we're going to win, but who knows? You know what I mean? The Rams, Jets, I think, are winnable games, but we'll see. I'm not going to make any predictions at this point. And Dallas, do they play their starters or do they play reserves? Because that very well could be a winnable game. So I think that's this season, towards the last 5 games, man, is really going to be, I guess the tail of the tape is going to be how we end the game, or end the season, rather. You know what I'm saying? So one question before we roll, Greg, because I know I've been gabbing along, man. So Terry McLaurin, man, this season has not been his best showing. As we stand right now, 60 receptions for 694 yards and 2 touchdowns. So this is definitely a down year. So if you could attribute this to anything, what caused the down year for McLaurin? Was it so many targets? Was it the O-line? What do you think really led to Scary Terry having a down year?
I think it's multiple variables. I think certainly you could probably blame a little bit of the offensive line. Excuse me. When you don't have enough time to, sit back and get the ball out, and you send Terry McLaurin on a deep route, and you got to have time for those routes to develop. And a lot of times you have Sam Howell having to, throw to his dump off guy. So, and that's been done a lot because he just haven't had the chance to look for his receivers. And when he does, he's spreading the ball out. I think a lot of times too, Terry McLaurin's probably being, used as decoy, trying to get some of the double teams off, off of some of the other receivers like, Jahan Dotson and I think play calling as well. I think Eric Bieniemy is still trying to find his way as a play caller. I think he's still trying to grow and develop, and I think sometimes he tends to feel like I've got to get the ball more to Jahan Dotson. We haven't gotten the ball to him more. And oh my dear Lord, we need to get our ball to the tight ends more. And then, suddenly, Terry McLaurin, he hadn't had a catch. We got to get the ball to him more. And, I think there's feel like that there's a need to try to spread the ball out as well. I think it's just so many different variables, but it's really hard to pinpoint why he's had such a down year. I know some people will say he's no longer getting the separation that he got before. I don't know. I think he's double teamed probably a little bit more, but as well, I mean, for goodness sake, it's not like Sam Howell has plenty of time to sit back and wait for these routes to develop as well. And honestly, Terry McLaurin can be double teamed and he could still come down with the catch. So um, I I don't know. I think it's just a down year for everybody. I wouldn't read a whole lot into it. I know some people right now they're clamoring over Marvin Harris Jr. And suddenly, it's the new shiny toy that might be in the toy store window, come March. And, they're looking at their old toys and they're like, I've had that toy for a few years now. I don't want it anymore. I think that's how Washington fans can be. And, I can probably be like that sometimes as well. And so now they're like, well, Terry McLaurin, he's getting kind of old. I'm like, gosh, I feel like Terry McLaurin is just yesterday he came in the league. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. Um, he's still got plenty of years left. So I think he's going to be okay next year. Get your quarterback some protection, but also with Eric Bieniemy, call a more well balanced game. I know some fans are going to be like, stop talking about this well balanced thing. There's no such thing. I was like, yes, there is. I will carry that to my grave, and that will be the hill I die on. There has to be a well balanced game. And when you know that your running game is just as much as a threat, then guys like Terry McLaurin are going to be even more dangerous. And you're going to be able to get the ball to Terry McLaurin a whole lot more. So things have got to come together everywhere for your wide receivers to be successful. And play calling has to come together. Play calling is not 100% either. So it's a little bit of everything, Brandon. I wouldn't say that Terry McLaurin has regressed at all. I don't think he's regressed. It's just how things have been this year, honestly. That's my take on it.
No, I agree, man. I'm 100% behind what you said. I think there's a lot of factors because I'm a big Terry McLaurin fan. You forget, man, when he was drafted to be a special teams guy. Now he's the number one receiver. So he has done a lot in a short period of time here in Washington, D.C. The only guy, I believe, the only guy that has been a Redskin, Washington football team, and a commander. So he's been here for all three phases of Washington football. But I agree, the O-line is an issue. It's been very
Mm-hmm.
inconsistent. Yeah, it started out trash. It got better, and then it's now back to trash. So it's definitely been inconsistent. Play calling, really not utilizing all the weapons they have on offense. I really think that goes to EB. I think that definitely EB's issue right there. But you mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr. and I'll say this, man. I did a mock draft just this for poops and giggles, man. And yeah, at that slot because they got us right now at 5. Is you want to say go get Marvin Harrison Jr. because he's like, oh man, do you imagine this wide receiver core? But then it's like this: would you put brand new rims on a Yugo? Like no, that you know what I mean. Like that the issues are protecting Sam, getting the ball out, not utilizing. So you got to work on that line. I went ahead and drafted the kid out of Penn State, the offensive tackle, because I think that if you have a chance, go get the offensive tackle. I don't think this draft is that draft where, you can say, let's go get the shiny new toy and forget about the whole root and causes why the receivers we have now aren't successful. They're not successful because, again, like you said, Sam Howell has minimal time to get the ball out. He has minimal protection. The running lanes aren't always open. So I'm not really judging Brian Robinson as a lead back this year right now because I think it has a lot to do with the offensive line. Now, next year, if he's not 1,000-yard back, then maybe you go out and you get a lead back. But I
Yeah.
think that right now you can't judge B-Rob because, again, he doesn't always have clear running lane. So the offensive line has to be fixed. I'm definitely spending my first round pick on an offensive tackle, and that's what I'm looking at. I don't see any other alternatives. We don't need a quarterback, and we don't really need Marvin Harrison Jr. Now we can still get a receiver or two in this draft, but we still have McLaurin number 1, Jahan Dawson number 2. Now I don't see De'Ami Brown being here, and I really don't see Curtis Samuel being here. So we definitely could go out there and get another wide receiver. But as far as the draft, go get a young tackle. Go get a young tackle. If you're going free agency, go get a slot guy. I have no problem with that. But as far as the draft, the first pick we make in that draft needs to be an offensive tackle. That's it. I mean, I do not want to see Marvin Harrison Jr. in DC. And it's not because I'm not a fan, not because I don't think that he wouldn't be successful. Oh, no, this wide receiver core will be even more nastier than it is now. But the thing is, like I said, it's like the whole parable in the Bible, man. You do not put new wine in the old bottles. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and when I kind of look at that as you have problems, so don't add new personnel to the old list of problems. You know that the offensive line is the issue, so why bring more talent in here? Because you're not going to get all you can get out of Marvin Harrison Jr. and then you're just going to ruin a young player. So
That's right.
that's just the way I look at it, man. I don't think we need. I think we need to go tackle. We need to hit a couple of spots, two or three spots in this offensive line, man. In my humble opinion, because Cosme has been good, and left tackle hasn't been too much of a disaster. But center position, I think, needs to be addressed. Right tackle and left tackle, in my humble opinion. So before we roll, I think we both know where this is going to go, man. But what is your prediction for Sunday, Greg?
Ooh. Well, I mean, I don't see us winning this game. If anything, yeah, I would say, well, with this game being at home, of course, the home fans will get things going and all. Yeah, I mean, obviously, playing at home doesn't matter, so that's out the window. Now, no, this game will be a loss. I don't think it's going to be anything like it was on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I think you'll see more of a 21-17 type of thing. But I will be curious to see how the defense will respond to Ron Rivera calling the game basically on that side of the football. Will he be able to correct some of the things that Jack Del Rio couldn't or was not willing to correct? And so that would be the storyline, I think, of this game. But I think if you're a fan, you're just watching it just to kind of see you know continued development of Sam Howell. Hopefully he stays healthy. Continued development of some of your skill players like that. But I'm not expecting a win. Expecting the worst, hope for the best. Who knows? I think a lot of people are actually hoping to lose because they've already turned to the draft. And, I must admit, I'm with you, Brandon. I've already started the mock drafts of my own as well. So, there it is.
Yeah, you had no choice but to do that, man. But I'm with you as far as the end of the season. I want to see some fight because, like I said, that's culture. Playing the right way. You play to win. Not handing out the white flag. I want to see some effort, man. I guess a part of me wanted to say, maybe they'll play harder because maybe they're fighting for Ron Rivera's job because he's more of a player's coach. But I think that the players in the locker room know what's going on. They know that Ron Rivera is not going to be here next year. He's just not. They're going to let him probably ride out the rest of the year. 5 games left, and then they're going to quote unquote say they're evaluating, but I think the evaluation's been done for some time. So you very well could see some changes in the front office. I think that we need a GM. I think we need a proper GM. Let the coach, let the GM. I never liked the model of coaches being GMs. I just felt like it was
I don't either.
I never understood it. It never worked. Belichick did it in New England, and Ron Rivera did it in Washington, and it hasn't worked. So we have to go out there and get a proper GM, which, according to media sources, the Washington Commanders are, if not the most sought after or coveted GM job in the NFL. They are definitely top 5. So people want to be the GM because they like what's going on in Washington. New ownership group. They want to be that guy who comes in and gets his franchise right. So this is a very coveted job at GM. So go get a proper GM, man. So I'm with you. I think it's going to be 31-14. I think Miami comes in. They do what Miami does. They're a team that's going to challenge the AFC. Now, me, I'm a Commanders fan first, but I always root for the NFC. I think the NFC is definitely the better conference out of the two. But Miami, you got to keep your eyes on Miami, man, because this offense is nasty. So, I'm with you. I think it's going to be a loss for our Commanders, man. But again, we're going to go ahead and roll tonight. Definitely appreciate everybody tuning in as always. And again, if you are not a member of Washington Football Maniacs, definitely consider it, man, because I'm trying to tell you, this is a channel on the rise, man. We have a lot of good content coming your way, especially in the off season, man. We're going to do a lot of draft, free agency talk. We're going to do a lot, man. So definitely tune in. Like, subscribe, but comment below. Let us know what you guys think about tonight's episode, and how would you guys attack Miami if you were the coach of the Washington Commanders? how would you attack Miami? So definitely comment below and let us know what you would do. So again, appreciate everybody. So hail to the Commanders and peace. Everybody have a blessed weekend. Take care.